Hello. Today we're going to talk about a new national poll. We're going to talk about recent Supreme Court decisions. We're going to talk about ICE and their illegal and undemocratic methods. We're going to talk about, of course, the big, beautiful bill. Welcome to Marxisms. If you've never been here before, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. Please like and subscribe, but do not hit the notification button because notifications are annoying. Anyway, so let's start with the new national poll that came out. New poll came out on how proud or you are to be an American, and for we hit record lows. It was 58%, which that sounds high. It's like, well, no, if you're living in this country, it should be like 100%, and that's for people who are extremely proud or very proud to be an American people, and it was, of course, split on party lines because all the MAGA idiots are oh, this is great, man. We're going after minorities and gay people, and life is just good. Back the way America should be, just racist as fuck. But anyway, but the rest of us, normal people, moral people, uh, uh, unfortunately, a lot of the Christians are on the other side. I don't understand that, but they don't follow Jesus. I love Jesus as a teacher. He's an amazing person. I don't believe that he's God, but I definitely believe that he was an awesome rabbi and he taught peace and loving everybody. And unfortunately, his followers do not follow him. So anyway, that's how that goes. 58% of Americans are extremely proud to be an American, and that's the lowest in U.S. history since they've been doing the poll. Of course, obviously they haven't been doing polls forever. Anyway, so we have some new Supreme Court decisions that just happened, and they give Trump even more power. They've basically crippled. Um, the courts other than the Supreme Court, which is the hand of the king now. See, they've set themselves up to where they get to make all the decisions that happen now. And whereas there used to be a process before this where lower courts could stop a president or a governor or whatever from doing something. Obviously, it'd have to be a state court, but federal courts now cannot don't really have any power, so there's just no point in even having them at this point, except for, I guess, anybody who's not the president or the dictator, which he's a dictator, let's just face it. And the Supreme Court is setting him up that way. They've already given him just vast immunity from prosecution. He can basically do anything he wants. He can kill people. He can detain people. He is detaining people. He's arresting members of Congress in an unprecedented way. Um, Under these guises of trying to stop his illegal acts in the first place, or just asking questions and being escorted out of a meeting and brutally assaulted by federal agents. It's disgusting. And this Supreme Court, who is basically handpicked by this dictator, are doing his bidding. And Congress has already capitulated their um, abilities, their rights under separation of powers. They're allowing Trump to make law through executive order, which is not supposed to be what executive orders are for. Executive orders are for doing things like declaring holidays like Thanksgiving, or creating medals like the Medal of Freedom, and giving out those medals, and overseeing departments, not creating them. Congress creates these departments, and presidents have asked for a few of them, but these are things that are generally created by Congress, and they're overseen by the president. And a lot of these, um, the appointees, the people running the offices, those are political offices and are subject to the president's pleasure, and that's fine. When you come in and you want to don't like the FBI agent in charge, the FBI director or the Secretary of State, it's standard procedure um, to elect or to appoint new ones, and then Senate oversees whether decides whether they're valid or not, and then rubber stamps them and whatever. Unfortunately, as we know, definitely rubber stamping them is happening. There's very little debate that goes. There's plenty of debate, but it's just ignored. I mean, it's like hedge Seth. I mean, the guy's so over his head that during the Iran strike, they didn't even nobody even consulted him. Of course, he's back there with the president, Marco Rubio, doing looking important and coming out with his little talking points and stuff like that. But they basically went right past him, over his head, and went right to the generals. And it's like, oh, what do you guys think? Because our DUI hire, Pete Hegseth, is just fucking incompetent. So. So now, not only is the president making law, and now there's no oversight for him making law. See, that's how the balance of power is supposed to work in this country: is that Congress makes law, and then the president either signs it or vetoes it. And then there's, of course, a way for them to overcome the veto in the Congress. Of course, everything's now rubber stamped because they're all a bunch of sycophants. And then now the Supreme Court has and then what happens is if it's challenged, it goes to the courts to decide whether it's constitutional or not, and then ultimately it could be bumped up to the Supreme Court. Well, now there's no bumping it up to the Supreme Court. It's just that the president, who is already ignoring um, the courts anyway, now they don't even have a say under this new ruling. Some people will say that I'm wrong on that, but ultimately I'm not. It's there may be like procedural things that are still supposedly allowed, but we know what this really is. What this really is the courts have just been neutered, and the only court now that matters is the United States Supreme Court, and they're sucking the what of dictator Trump. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have said that, but it's true. Anyway, so the next thing on the agenda here is ICE. And now that we don't have a court system in place to stop him, they're just going to be doing more of their thuggery. I mean, I just saw a thing uh, yesterday where federal agents, I don't think it was ICE, but it was Border Patrol. They blew the door off somebody's house, an American citizen's house, looking for her boyfriend, who I believe was an American citizen as well, on immigration charges. And they didn't knock. They didn't identify themselves. The only way the woman knew was because a neighbor called her and said, "Hey, there's Border Patrol out in front of your house." And so she had one of her kids out in front of the house, and so she ends up grabbing her other kid, her infant kid, goes through the window, and as she's doing that, the door blows up. They didn't even identify themselves. They didn't knock. They didn't do anything. They just blew the door up and breached the place. And then they sent a drone in because they're too big of pussies to actually go in themselves. And it's fucking disgusting. Agents are running around. Federal agents are running around now wearing masks in civilian clothing with no badges, just snatching people off the streets. Americans, not just immigrants, not criminals. Guy mowing the lawn, not a criminal. His two kids or three kids are Marines. Two of them are active duty. One of them's former Marine. Um, and he's just snatched off the mowing the lawn. He's snatched, and um, your service as a um, their service as a Marine means absolutely nothing. They're brown people, and Trump wants them out. It's just that simple. And he doesn't care if you're an American citizen. He doesn't care if you served in the military. He doesn't care who you are. If you're brown, you're gone. If you're a Democrat, it's going to be, you watch, that's going to be the next phase. They're already talking about that. The new mayor of New York, who's a socialist, whatever. You have that's what we have freedom in this country for, is you can be a socialist if you want to. There's nothing wrong with certain aspects of socialism anyway. I mean, we've had socialism forever. The police, that's a socialist organization, and they have unions. I was in a union too, and people say, "Oh, you're a socialist because you were in a union." I go, "What did I get from the federal government? I didn't get shit. You know, I work for a living, and I pay dues to a group of people who have nothing to do with the federal government. There are some rules and regulations involved, sure. So that's how far you're going to go. Well, then, basically, all rules and regulations are socialism to these people, and it's true they are. Um, but we've had socialism in this country forever. Like I've said, it's always been for the wealthy. They get contracts, government contracts, the highway system. That's all was federally funded. The Transcontinental Railroad, and big businesses got the money to do it, and they hired cheap labor and fucked over the American people so that they could build these things. And then they sit there. If you want to go out and strike for a better wage, oh, you're a red. It's like, you guys are the Reds. You guys are the real communists, because you've been getting money from the federal government from the start. Subsidies and tax breaks, all that kind of stuff. What the hell do you think that is? The police, the fire, public schools, which are they wanted that. The founding fathers, they wanted compulsory education. They wanted free education in this country, and it should be free all the way through college. We would have a much better society, more people working, more people paying taxes. Um, uh, which leads us to the big, beautiful tax break for the rich. I was just looking at some of the breakdowns in it, and some of it's actually okay. Uh, some of the lower income Social Security recipients will get a tax break. If okay, I gotta preface this potential. Okay, so there's potential tax relief for Social Security recipients in there. So basically, what they're saying is they're putting this bill out. They're giving people a talking point to help it pass. And the bottom line is, I don't think you're ever going to see it. These tax breaks in this bill are very top heavy. If you're wealthy, if you're in the upper middle class to wealthy in this country, you're going to get more money. If you are poor, you are going to lose money. And I don't care what the stupid. I was just reading the myths and whatever of the on the White House webpage, and talking about how, oh yeah, the middle class are going to get tax cuts. It's bullshit. No, you're not. If you're making over $107,000 a year, which most people really aren't, you're gonna get a tax break. These are the people that don't really need a tax break. Of course, you live in California. I made $111,000 in California, and I was trust me, I was definitely not upper middle class, because it's pretty expensive to live there. Um, so it just depends on where you live, and that's another thing that should be kind of weighed. But anyway, it's not. So it's basically, this is if you live in Arkansas, that's you're doing pretty good if you make that kind of money. Let's face it. Um, so if you make, I forget what the breakdown was. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. I got my phone here. Yeah, I don't have it up here. But anyway, if you're making um, like $36,000, you're gonna lose about 700 and something dollars a year. It's not going to be it's not going to be pretty. It's not. And there's some incremental stuff. It's like the Social Security stuff is supposed to be incremental, meaning it's going to be up to the douchebags in Congress to actually get it done. And so what's going to happen. They're not going to do it. Not these Republicans. They're not going to vote for this stuff. They're not going to vote to give you more money. This is just to give all the MAGA idiots talking points and hope. And ultimately, you're not going to see shit. The rich are going to fucking fleece you. And in the meantime, we have higher inflation. Yes, we have higher inflation right now. He was supposed to fix that day one, like he was supposed to fix a bunch of things day one, which have only gotten worse. He hasn't fixed shit. I actually do want to talk about the Ukraine war a little bit too. I've seen recently seen some analysis on that. He says that the Ukrainians are losing and that they can't win. He's trying to get him to capitulate to his puppet master Putin. But the truth is, that's not true. So anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So you're not going to get a tax break if you're middle class. If you're upper middle class, yeah. If you're not upper middle class or rich, you're not going to get a tax break under the big beautiful bill. All that's going to do is raise the debt. Also, 11 million people are going to be bumped from Medicare. Now, there's some of those that I don't mind actually, like my old friend that I was talking about who lived with me in one of the previous videos, who never earned shit. He should lose it. He shouldn't be able to collect that. He shouldn't have free health care. Um, if anybody, you know. I mean, I understand that some people haven't been able to or have been poor and haven't contributed that much. They should still get it. This guy deliberately went around the system his entire life to not pay taxes and pay into these things. So, for the simple reason, so that he could do drugs. We shouldn't be funding people like that. He shouldn't be on. I mean, this guy, he's mooching off. He's living. He's like bragging to me. It's like, oh, I do all this stuff. I have a building a go kart, this thing and that thing. I maintain a house in Idaho while living in California and all this. It's like you don't maintain shit. Your girlfriend that you're leeching off of maintains all that because you have no job. You have no nothing. You get welfare and Social Security off the backs of the taxpayers and free medical. You're going to lose it. Sorry. Kiss it goodbye. Anyway, those are the kind of people that should probably get bumped from these programs. But the rest of us know, no, they shouldn't. Certain people are really disabled. They worked their life. They contributed to the system, and even if it was like early on, they got um, they got hurt working, and so they should get something. Now, I'm not opposed to people them paying, what they should do is they should pay them to go to college and retrain them to do another job, do something that your disability won't allow, if that's entirely possible. Um, there should be some safeguards on that. But anyway, so 11 million people are going to lose Medicaid. Um, and then the Affordable Care Act is going to be, Obamacare. That's going to be curtailed as well. And I think another 5 or 6 million are going to lose health care because of that, because they're not going to be able to afford it. So I haven't read all the provisions of that and what exactly that entails. But so it's going to be like 16 million people are going to lose their health care. And that's just going to hurt. That's not going to help our economy, first of all. Also, analysis has shown that he's increasing spending with this bill, and he's decreasing tax revenue. So this is gonna minimum. It's going to be $3.3 trillion added to the debt with this thing. Re- um, just remember this: Republicans are against deficits when Democrats are in power. That's the only time. That's the only time they're ever against deficits and debt is when Democrats are in power, because whenever they're in power, they create record debt and record deficits. The only president to, and he had help from a Republican Congress too. The only president to ever reduce the deficit was Bill Clinton, and he called their damn bluff on it. And but that just went away with the next Republican administration. It was just kind of, there you go. You know, uh, Bush gets in there, and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, let's go fight a war. Let's go fight you know what? Afghanistan. What we should have done is we should have went in there. We should have got the Taliban, and Al Qaeda, the people who perpetrated 9/11, and the people that housed them. We should have went in there and took these people out. We had opportunities to actually get bin Laden early on and failed to do so because Rumsfeld was a little bitch. But um, he was jealous because it was a CIA operation, and he's like, "Let the CIA do it." When there's like numerous, if we sent in a platoon of Rangers, we would have got him. But at Tora Bora, everybody remember that. But Rumsfeld wouldn't do it. He refused to. Trump should have overrode him, but Trump, let's face it, he wasn't Trump. Sorry, Bush. He wasn't. He was kind of an amateur at the time. But anyway, and we should have never gone into. We should have never stayed there, and then we should never ever should have went into Iraq. I have to say I was for those things at the time, and I was mistaken. Knowing what I know now, of course, we were all lied to about the weapons of mass destruction, or they lied to themselves. Really, I think they really believed that it was that they were there, and there's reasons why they believed it, and I get that, but intelligence was a lot of intelligence said it wasn't. The Canadians told us flat out does not have a program, and we wouldn't believe it because well, they're the Canadians. They knew more than we did. So anyway, they have close ties to the Brits, who usually have pretty good intelligence, but they failed as well and joined us on this nonsense. So anyway, so we don't have Republicans doing anything about debt. They just talk a good game when the Democrats are in power, and they don't do it. And we're raising the debt again. Trump had record debt during his administration, and then complained about Biden, who actually had really low debt up until the infrastructure bill that Trump had proposed and wanted and talked about wanting and needing and didn't do. Now that's something we should have done, though. We should have done it a long time ago when it was cheaper. We should have did it all along. We've ignored our infrastructure for a long time, and we definitely had to bite the bullet on that. So that actually raised Biden's debt up there. But if it wasn't for that, something we absolutely needed, he would have actually had pretty low debt, to be honest with you. So anyway, what was the next thing? We had the Supreme Court. We just talked about ICE. We talked about, oh, what was I going to, I was going to talk about something else now. Oh yeah, Ukraine. Okay. So anyway, he says that Trump says that Ukraine is losing. And I saw some pretty interesting analysis on that. First of all, Russia in 10 years in Afghanistan lost 10,000 lives. 10,000 Russian lives were lost in a 10-year battle with Afghanistan that they ultimately lost in that stalemate. But here in what has it been, 2 years now? Low estimates, 750,000 Russians have died in Ukraine. That's just disgusting. And with the pace that they're making ground, which is they haven't really made too much ground. I mean, the Ukrainians have taken some stuff back. It's kind of been, they're kind of almost in a stalemate, but the Ukrainians have had some great successes as of late. And I think they just had a breakthrough attack recently, a couple days ago, and which is not so much in the news anymore because everybody's concentrating on the fascist Israelis and their fight against the Islamofascists in Iran, who I am not a fan of the Islamic Revolution there. I don't have a problem with people who are Islamic or Islam in itself. I know people who are Muslim and they're really fine people. I have some customers when I worked at a grocery store here in my little hometown, adopted hometown, and I had a lot of Palestinian, Jordanian, Afghani. We have a large Afghanistan community here of people who helped us in the war, actually, and very fine people. They're not all terrorists like MAGA and the racists in the Republican Party think. And I've heard him say that. It's like, oh, if you have Muslim friends, they're eventually just going to cut your head off. No, they're not. There's some really fine people that are Muslims. There are radicals that are, but then there's a lot of radical Christians that would cut your head off too. So I don't know what that tells you. So, um, but the analysis shows that at this pace, the Russians would end up losing uh, just hundreds of, well, millions of people, um, and ultimately, their population is not going to be able to sustain it. You think about it, all the age groups of males that are home producing children are not there. They're off dying and fighting in the war. 750,000, and then a lot of them also left. So there was a whole at the beginning of this war, a lot of people left Russia, a lot of military age men who said, "Yeah, no, we don't want to do this. These are our neighbors. We don't want to fight with them. We want to have a little more peace in the world." So it's not a sustainable war for Russia at all. It's not gonna. They're gonna lose. They're losing, and they're gonna lose. Um, and there was one other thing I was gonna talk about. Hold on, let me pause this for a second here. Oh yeah, I remember. Um, the Supreme Court also ruled against parents. The parents now don't have to allow their children to participate in any. See if I get this right. LBTCQ plus, or I don't know how's that go. Um, anyway, any anything along those lines, uh, gay, transgender, or whatever, they don't have to participate in these things. I have kind of mixed feelings about that. I mean, parents should have the ability to control a little bit what their kids learn and see, but the problem I have with it is that the enormous mental health cost of a gay person, gay, trans, bi, whatever, uh, having a homophobic father or mother is enormous. I know many gay people who they left home and never came back. I know some that are whose parents have been super supportive of them, and everything's fine. They're happy and they're good. Um, and but the people whose families disown them, the fathers who there was a kid I went to school with, and I know this. Yeah, he was in my scout troop, and I know that his father pushed him into that because he was gay. I mean, there wasn't any doubt. Everybody knew it. This kid was, and how cruel people were back in the '80s and stuff like that. This kid was elected homecoming queen every year that I was in school. He was in my class and my scout troop, and I actually rode the bus with him, the city bus, not the school bus, and used to talk to him. And I wasn't one that hazed this kid. Everybody hazed this kid, but I wasn't one of them. My biggest regret is not standing up against the people that were. I had a significant influence. I was one of the more popular ones. I did play football and stuff like that, and was considered popular and liked. And I should have done more to stand up for this kid. And that is one of my biggest regrets, honestly, is that I didn't. I didn't treat him poorly myself. Um, a little bit early on, like in scouts, because he would scream during the stories, and we just kind of made fun of him. We did stuff to try to scare him, basically. And then I realized how cruel that was, and I didn't. I no longer did it, and I was not into the hazing thing. No one hazed or bullied me. I got bullied in sixth grade when I lived in Daly City, California. I was bullied because I was in fifth grade, actually. I was as big as the seventh and eighth graders, and because I matured early, and so they all had something to prove. So they would always gang up and beat me up and stuff like that until one day I just beat the living tar out of the most substantial of the eighth graders. I got caught alone in the bathroom with him, and I thought, "Oh my god, here it goes." And see, I always got in trouble for it. It's like all the nuns. It's like you've got a chip on your shoulder because you're always in a fight. Well, I was always in a fight because everybody was picking a fight against me. The older kids, not the kids in my grade. It was seventh and eighth graders. I was a fifth grader, and I beat the tar out of this eighth grader. The funny thing was, is I never mentioned it because I didn't want to get in trouble. And I never mentioned it, but you know what? They'd never fucked with me after that. And then after that, ultimately, I had a different air about me. And so when I got into high school, junior high and high school, I was still, in the early days of high school, I was still bigger than everybody, most of the people. Um, and I hated bullies for that reason. So when other people were bullied, I often would step in, and I actually a couple of times took on more than one person, like a group of guys, and I'm like, "Yeah, you want to go? Let's go," and they backed down because they didn't know what was going to happen to them. This guy's crazy, but yeah, I after that I wouldn't allow myself to be bullied, and my son got had somebody bullying a couple times, got bullied. And I explained to him exactly how to handle it, and that's how he handled it, and was not bullied again by that person. He got bullied by some others later on. There's a group of them that used to pick on him, and I eventually called his mother and read her the riot act. I was a scout leader at the time, and she was her kid was in our scout troop, and she never disciplined that kid. That kid was always the problem, and all the parents, we'd all look at each other, and we'd look at her, and it's like, "Are you going to do something?" I couldn't grab this kid by the ear and drag him into the corner. He wasn't my kid. So I don't know. One day, all the kids were goofing off and doing stuff and being uncontrollable and not listening, and my son was involved in that. So I finally walked over, grabbed my son by the collar, and I didn't do anything physically violent to him or anything, but I just kind of dragged him over to the corner to talk to him. And he's like, "Why are you singling me out? Everybody was doing this." And I said, "Yeah, but I'm your father. I can't do it to them. I can do this to you, you know." And I explained to him that, "Look, I'm the scout leader here, and you're my son. I expect you to help me with this. I expect you to set an example." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, you're right." And he did. From that point on, he was always a scout leader. Teared up a little. I'm very proud of that young man. He's in college now. He went in the army for a while, and now he's in college, and he's 4.0. He's writing his thesis right now, and he's planning on getting his PhD, and he's just really smart. And he's a good person. He's a really, really good person, and he has a son, my grandson, and he's just so patient with that kid, and just it's just wonderful watching him. So is his wife. They're just both super super fine people, and it's like I always say, the best man that I know is my son, and probably the second best is my girlfriend's son. He's a good young man, and a gentleman, and his daughter's obviously not a man, but she's also a extremely good person, as is my daughter, and I'm proud of my kids, and I'm proud of her kids too. But anyway, I think that'll be it for today. Oh no, yeah, that's right. I wanted to talk about I was talking more about the LGBTQ plus community. Well, they've scapegoated these people and you hear the Marjorie Trailer Park Greens and the Trump and everything, and talking about them being child predators, and they're going after our kids and this and that. That couldn't be further from the truth. If you know the statistics, you are far more likely statistically to be sexually assaulted by a Christian male than you are by a homosexual, an openly gay person. Um, I was for a while. I was going to church and trying to wrap my head around being a Christian and accepting Jesus as my savior, which I've just never been able to do. It just doesn't jive with me. But anyway, I also wanted to work with the community and stuff like that. So I was um, the church I was going to, they talked about, oh, you could we'll put you through pastoral school, and that would be pretty cool. Even though I don't fully believe, I thought that might be a good avenue to help people out. But anyway, so I was taking classes. I had to take classes. I had to do a background check, and I had to take classes on um, child safety. And one of the things I learned, this is through their greater church, uh, the greater organization of the church. And one of the statistics I learned was that, um, and it definitely, I've vetted this out. It's true that I think it's 33%, but of all the sexual assaults that take place outside of the home, 33% of them take place in a Christian setting, Christian church set within a church, group meeting, picnic, whatever, by a member of the church. Okay, wrap your head around that. 33% outside of the home. Most of them happen in the home, but 33% outside of the home are by a lot of them in the home are by Christians as well. Um, and this is not just Catholics. This is, everybody, oh, that's the Catholics. It's like, no, this is across the board. Yes, Protestants, whatever, Christian churches. And if among the statistic, and I've compared among openly homosexuals, men, women don't do, but rarely. But among openly homosexual males, it's 0.01% to 3%, depending on who you look and where you look. Which is, even if it's 3%, I mean 3% is too much. 0.01% is too much, but 33% among Christians, alleged heterosexual males, which, here's the thing, uh, there's a lot of latent homosexual people out there, and psychologists have determined through studies and stuff that um, the most militant anti-homosexual people are latent homosexuals. They're in the closet. They're embarrassed that they are, and so they lash out at, and especially publicly, and then sometimes behind the scenes they're actually diddling little boys. But those are facts. Um, so if we're gonna start targeting people um, who are predators. And it's funny that Trump, let's face it. I mean, where he's been accused of and lost in court to he's still fighting it and not winning. Uh, the civil court, nonetheless, not criminal court, but he's been found in criminal court to have sexually abused this woman. I guess I can't say rape because the New York Times got sued for that. Because that's not what it was. It didn't say that. It said sexually abused, I believe, was what it was. Um, but it's scapegoating. Homosexuals are not in any large numbers at all doing anything to our children. Christians are. One of the first friends my dad had when he moved to San Francisco was a man from El Paso, Texas, and there was three of them that were roommates at the YMCA because he just rolled into town. He didn't have a home or a job or anything like that. He's a young man, went to junior college and then hit the road, left Michigan, and came to San Francisco to make a new life for himself, and ended up rooming with uh, uh, two guys, and one of them was gay. Um, and that guy was ended up being lifelong friends with my dad. My dad wasn't gay, and neither was the other guy. I forget his name, but Bruce was one of my brother and I's first babysitters. He used to babysit us. I think he came and babysat us when my sister was born, but, he didn't he loved my dad and my mom, and he wouldn't have done anything to us. He didn't, and he wouldn't have. I mean, it's just absurd. He was interested in men. He wasn't interested in little boys, first of all. But and what that's pedophilia is a totally different thing than being gay. Just like being a pedophile, heterosexual pedophile. Most men they like women their age. I wouldn't even date a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old. I like women that are my age that have, things that I can share with them and talk to them about and common um, knowledge and things like that. That's what I like, and that's what most people are like. Um, I had a friend, it's the same guy who lived with me. He used to say, "Your problem is you date older. You should be dating 20-something-year-olds and this and that." I'm like, "Why? Why would I do that?" And he says, "Oh, I know I could get this 20-something-year-old that works with me because when I go in there to get coffee, she's very nice to me." And I'm like, "Dude, that's called customer service. She doesn't want anything to do with you. That's ridiculous." And I know there women are that they want it, they're little sugar daddies and stuff like that, but that's just they just want your money. They don't want they don't want you because they think you're sexy. I'm a 61-year-old man, no 25-year-old. I mean, if a 25-year-old did want me, I would suspect they wanted my money or there was something seriously fucking wrong with them. But anyway, yeah, so it's scapegoating. The homosexual community is not hurting your children. Um, you have a better chance of your kid getting molested at a Christian church than you do at a drag show. So just lighten up. Anyway, peace.